Hi everyone, this channel is Moynagh Bass Fishers. I am Jim Moynagh, professional bass fisherman, even though sometimes the bass don't really think so. Anyhow, this video is going to be about kind of the state of the union sort of a video. Tomorrow starts the 5th tournament in the Bass Opens here on Lake Eufaula in Oklahoma. So we're going to be discussing basically where I'm at psychologically, emotionally, strategically, and physically. All right, so let's just start with the most important thing, and that would be where am I at as far as my main goal of the year. The main goal of the year that I set out to do was to qualify for the Bassmaster Elite Tour with Bassmaster on the Bassmaster Tour. To do that, I have to finish in the top 9 in the Angler of the Year points with Bassmaster. To do that, you fish all 9 tournaments. Depending on where you finish, you get points. The better you finish, the more points you get. So at the end of the season, I got to have the 9th best, or the 9th highest number of points or better to move up to the Elite Series for 2025. Currently, as of right now, after 4 tournaments, we have 9 total. So after 4 tournaments, I think it was 39th place. So my goal is still attainable, but it's going to, I really don't have any room for any sort of hiccups the rest of the season. I'm probably going to have to post a couple of top 10s at this point. And out of the other 3 tournaments, there's 5 left. So if I can get 2 top 10s, and then out of the other 3, really probably a finish of no worse than, I don't know, 40 or 50th place out of those other 3. So we got to get on fish the rest of the year and just drill them and do it again and again and again without flaw. Well, there's always going to be flaw, but with, minimizing flaw, avoiding the big mistakes, and just getting after it and getting done. That's a tall order, but it's not impossible. I'm here to compete, and compete I shall. So now in other videos, now let's move on to the next topic. Basically, psychologically, where am I at? Now, last time I was here a month ago, I think I came apart psychologically, because basically it's been a rough year. A lot of key big fish have been coming off in multiple tournaments, and when I was here a month ago, that was no exception. And it just culminated into total frustration, snowballed into negativity, and I was just not in a good place mentally. At that, especially, it just was not good. Even during practice, it was just because of the way the year had been going. Just the little things I was blowing up the little things into bigger things than what they were. Wasn't handling the adversity the way it needs to be, which you need to look it in the face, you need to deal with it, and then move on. Don't dwell on it. Don't make it bigger than what it needs to be. Just deal with it and move forward, and look at the next, look for the next ray of sunshine. So that, I'm a month later from that point in my head competitively, and regardless of what happens here at this tournament, I don't see myself falling into that trap. I may have a bad tournament here. I may lose some big key fish, and that'll suck, but I'm going to have a different reaction mentally, physically, and everything to the outcome and the adversity. So I feel good about that. Now, the steps that I have made some, I identified some clear steps of what it's going to take to clear that. And I've been holding up to those steps pretty well. One was, just be conscious of the fact that this stuff happens. There's always going to be a statistical variance in what I'm doing. If it's more than that, that means it's something I'm doing, and just seek those corrections to improve upon basically it's been my hooking and landing fish that has really been at issue this year. And if it could be, some of it might be due to statistical variance, where that just, statistically you're not going to get 100% of the fish in the boat. And sometimes you get outlier kind of sessions where you just lose more than what statistically is normal. So there might have been some of that, but I've been working on techniques, trying to refine techniques, and I may have improved what I've been doing specifically with the wacky rigs I've been throwing. So, but I got a small sample size thus far on that, so I'm not going to talk about it any more than what I just did. I need to play it out some more. All right. So what are the obstacles in this tournament that I got to deal with? Recognize, don't let them get it. I can't let obstacles get me down. So in this tournament, at Lake Eufaula, we were here last month and posted a poor finish. So psychologically, I have to not fall into a trap of thinking, here we go again. All right. I have to just look at it, as I move through practice. If I'm not generating bites, not developing patterns, just gotta be positive. Read conditions, read water, think of adjustments to make to what I'm seeing, to what I'm experiencing, and keep doing that until I hit the right combination of location and presentation and timing, because that's what it takes. Now, there are a lot other obstacles. So it is a tough fishery out here. It's kind of at a tougher time of year now, here in June. Lake Eufaula is not a huge numbers lake. It's got some nice quality bass, but it's not a huge number lake. And developing the patterns can maybe be kind of slow to develop because you don't get a lot of opportunities to encounter fish. So it's just a little harder to develop a pattern on this sort of a fishery that has lower numbers. All right. The X factor is the heat. There's going to be mid-90s degree high temperatures just about every day between now and the end of this tournament, and lots of sunshine. It'll be this will probably be the hottest tournament I fished in a few years. That just adds an extra drain on a person mentally and physically. So I have to be aware of my nutrition, which is one of the things I noted, not in this video, but I did note made mental notes, and I talked about this in a previous video, that I just need to improve upon my nutrition and hydration through a week of fishing. So I kind of identified that as possibly a mistake I'd been making, not hydrating enough, not eating proper nutrition even through the day. And by that is, I mean, I just wouldn't eat all day sometimes. I'd eat a little bit in the morning and then not until 9 o'clock at night. So we are going to change that. And then I would mix in too many sugary snacks and sweets at night, and then I would fall asleep too late, and it just wasn't. That's just, when you are lacking sleep, when you are lacking hydration, when you're lacking nutrition, your mind weakens, your mind isn't as strong, and that just sets you up into a position of failure or potential failure. You know, stumbling onto a bunch of good fish can cure a lot of things, but when that doesn't happen, you still have to be on your toes mentally. So it's going to be very important to stay hydrated, eat properly, and keep it up all day long, especially that hydration. So I'm going to be very routinely aware of that. And also, I'm going to, because of the heat, I'm going to quite often and I do this a lot of times in summer tournaments, I just simply jump in the lake to cool down. And I'm going to have to, you can't do that during the tournament, but during practice, that is going to be a great way to cool down. And it's only temporary until you dry off again. But then you can also just throw your shirt in the lake, get it soaked, and then throw that on. And your wet shirt will keep you cool for quite some time. This shirt here by Blackfish, a sponsor of mine, this is a great shirt to keep me cool. It's called the Angler. It's an Angler series of shirts. It's got a hood on it, so I can put that up. These shirts are definitely going to be part of my practice plan. In the competition days, I'll be wearing my tournament jersey and not this. So this won't be available to me on competition days, but during practice, I'll be making good use of this shirt right here. And, well, I have other ones, other colors, but basically this Angler Series shirt, they breathe well. They wick away moisture, although I'm going to be wanting moisture to keep me cool. But these shirts just keep me cooler somehow, especially more than like a cotton shirt. Absolutely, 100%. So, and again, they're a sponsor of mine. So I got to throw that out there so you guys know. Blackfishgear.com. All right, so now there's a certain amount of respect and fear that I enter this tournament, knowing that it's going to be a hot weather tournament, knowing that I'm going to be struggling with heat, knowing that I'm going to be struggling with generating bites. I'm respecting this tournament. I enter it with a slight bit of fear, the fear of failure, the fear of not getting it done. But in the past, a lot of times when I have this sort of psychological approach, and it's not something that I just switch on and off, it's just how I feel. Oftentimes, I come through. I don't know if it'll happen this time, but it's not a bad thing that I feel the way that I feel right now towards this event. At the same time, as serious as I'm taking this, I was going to say I'm going to have fun. Well, the fun comes when I cash a good finish in this tournament. That's That's when the fun comes. Between here and then, it's a matter of staying calm and staying just on task, staying on cue, making sure that I'm doing the right things, not being super serious about, I mean, being serious, but not putting a whole lot of, just not burdening myself with the gravity of the situation. That's what I don't want to do, and I'm gonna not do. So how could I do that? You know, one way I could do that is, you know, I never take a radio out into my boat to fish with, almost never. So maybe that could be one way to maybe lighten the gravity of the situation by bringing a radio, playing some music, or listening to hometown radio back in Minnesota. I love listening to well, we got a sports channel back home. KFAN is the their radio numbers, and I love listening to various programs on that channel. So maybe that's something I could do. Just lighten the load, keep me loosey-goosey without getting overburdened by the gravity of what I'll be facing. The gravity, I'm really worried about this heat, but I'm also worried about the lack of fish out here. And also, I guess I haven't stated this, my lack of understanding this type of fishery at this time of year in mid-June. I don't do a lot of mid-June reservoir tournament fishing. So that is there's a certain degree of anxiety and uncertainty around that, which is adding to that, just that underlying fear and gravity of the situation. But nonetheless, I gotta rise above it, and whether I rise, I mean, if I may rise above it and still have a bad tournament, but at least rise above it at a minimum. And even though I still may end up with a bad tournament, just if I just keep the negativity out, avoid the woe is me mentality, why does this always happen to me mentality. I have to avoid that, because that's what I fell into that trap starting a couple tournaments ago, and I just need to avoid that. Now, a good positive, you know, and just always look for the little positives, right? Okay, if I snag my bait up, who cares? What's the positive of snagging a bait? Well, you never know. Perhaps you unsnag your bait. Now you got a different angle to cast at a different target, and you get a bite. You just don't know how one little action can, or change in action, or unexpected action, can change the direction the snowball is rolling down the hill. So that is that's important. All right, well, what I have to do next here is pull out some rods, rig a few up. I gotta load up my maps into this boat. The last thing I wanted to point out was I did, you know, a good ray of sunshine was my last tournament at Lake Okeechobee, or Lake Okoboji in Iowa. That tournament, it wasn't perfect for me, but I rode through that whole tournament with the right mindset, start to finish, through practice, through the actual competition. I kept the right attitude, kept the right frame of mind. So that's a really good positivity there. Had a 6th place finish out of a 64 boat tournament, so decent finish. You know, I still think about, well, maybe I could have done better, but not really. That was about, you know, it was about what I was expecting after practice, was a finish somewhere in there. So that last tournament, you know, and another key thing about last tournament was, you know, as I mentioned earlier in this video, I've had a huge run of bad luck this year of losing the big fish time and time again. The big ones coming off, and those are just such big difference makers on a five fish limit sort of a format. I mean, if you lose a 4-pounder and you don't fill your limit, that's a big deal. Or you lose that 7-pounder and your next smallest one, and the smallest one in your bag when you get to weigh in is like 2 pounds or less. That's a big deal. Big difference makers. And I've lost, those difference makers have been just kicking my ass this year. So at the last tournament, that didn't happen. You know, I hooked up with 22 keeper fish last tournament, and only a couple got away. And the ones that got away were not the big ones. I've seen both of them jump. They were scoreable fish. In that tournament, it was a 2-pound minimum on a catch, weigh, release format. But out of 22 fish, if you only lose a couple fish, that's the acceptable percentage that I can live with. So hopefully we can continue with that kind of percentage, or even better. If it's better, that's maybe the statistical variance in my favor. But I always hope to get like 9 out of 10 in the boat. That's kind of what I always strive for. I don't know if that's unrealistic, but that's what I like to strive for, 9 out of 10. And that's somewhat dependent upon how you're fishing, because certain techniques are better at hooking and holding the fish all the way to inside the boat than other techniques. For example, I don't know. Well, like I said, I've had kind of a rough go of it with wacky rigs, and so that would be one of my lower percentage tactics. But on the high end, you know, generally I'm pretty good with a jig or a crankbait or chatterbait. You know, with those I'm hoping to get 90% or better hookups on them baits. But anyways, all right, that's where we're at. I got to get busy rigging here. So thanks for watching this video, and we will be posting videos, updates on what I'm finding in practice and so on. You know, I may be leaving out some details just because you never know. Russia could be watching this, so I don't want them to know what I'm doing. Okay, so all right, over and out.